What's up, everyone? Warm welcome back. In Play Live podcast, episode number
17.
Number 17. We're back at you. The last episode, we were actually live on location in Osoyoos. We were lakeside, and we're back a few months later. I know we've taken a bit of a hiatus, but we're back here in beautiful Osoyoos, British Columbia, Canada. Canada's only hot desert and wine country. We've had an amazing few months at In Play Live, and we wanted to touch base with you here on episode 17 of all things going on in the world of sports throughout the summer, what's coming up at In Play Live, and really just everything that's going on in our community on a few hot button topics. With that said, we think it's really important that you like and subscribe to us here on YouTube, and if you're listening from Spotify or Apple Music, please like and subscribe so that you can stay in tune with what's going on in our wonderful community that is known as In Play Live. I'm here today again with guest host Thomas Ritzker is on a hiatus. Shout out Ritzker. We're anxiously awaiting your return, but I'm here with co-founder today, Mark Rodgman, and of course my name is Andrew Pace. So what are we talking about today, my friend?
Who cares? Let's get a cheers. Happy summer. Let's go. All right. Well, let's look at the itinerary here. Let's kick things off with the NBA Finals. What the heck happened there and what's going on?
Well, I think this year with NBA has been kind of cool because, you know, it's like the first year where, and hey, I'm not opposed to talent, but it's like, it's not Steph Curry versus LeBron James.
Yeah, it's unique for sure.
You know, and I know that last year was not Steph Curry versus LeBron James, but there's definitely this element to the NBA of like the super team. And everyone's trying to build this super team so that they can get to the finals. And I know the Bucks have been on the list for a long, long time since, you know, Giannis sort of broke out 3 or 4 years ago. And I know they've been the top team in the East, but they haven't shown up in the playoffs. Yeah. And as a result, they've lost. And all of a sudden now, here the Bucks are in the East. The East was wide open, and I think the Atlanta Hawks proved that. The Atlanta Hawks made it to the Eastern Conference Final and looked really good for 7 games against the Bucks. And, you know, there was a time there where everyone's like, holy shit, the 5-seed Bucks and Trae Young are going to the final.
Lit it up for a while there. Wow.
Yeah, he lit it up. But everyone in the final, or everyone in the playoffs was talking about Luka Doncic, and it's like, what about Trae Young? And he proved it to everyone. So in the East, wide open, with the Hawks being the 5 seed and almost making it, and now obviously the Bucks in the final. And then in the West, my God, everyone picked the Lakers and the Clippers. So like, you filled out a bracket, right?
Yeah, I think I had the Nets winning one, and then the Clippers winning one.
So I filled out 2 brackets, and I had Nets Lakers in one side, and I had Clippers Nets maybe, and who didn't?
For sure. Well, how many brackets probably got broken this year out of most years, right? Like you said, the super team didn't really get through too far this year, so
which is what makes it cool,
yeah,
right? So they're playing the Phoenix Suns, obviously, as we're making this podcast right now. The Bucks lead the series 3-2, so the Bucks have been facing elimination multiple times in the playoffs. They've been down early in series. They were down 2-0 in this series, and before you know it, bang, they're up 3-2. And what's crazy is, from a betting standpoint, the Bucks were all more or less like without Giannis. People were like, he's not going to be able to play in the final. His knee injury is pretty serious, and you know,
he dodged a bullet.
He
to come back like that, because I mean,
he dodged a bullet.
That would have been tough for them.
But also, it's who he is as a person. I am not the biggest fan of the style of his play, but he is.
Stand it.
He's incredible.
Bull rush.
He is incredible, right?
Yeah,
he does. He charges up.
I mean, the size, right?
Yeah, he uses the size and power. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm more of a finesse style. You know, I like seeing people completely, you know, broken ankles, all that kind of stuff. More of the Chris Paul style basketball. But you know what? There's winning and losing, and you can't argue with winning. So it looks like the Bucks are gonna take care of business.
Think we'll get to Game 7
tomorrow? I don't know. I mean, the Bucks are at home tomorrow night, -5-point favorites. At In Play Live, not a lot of pregame money gets no. I wouldn't say wasted, but we don't allocate a lot of pregame funds, so I don't think we'll be on anything in tomorrow night's game at the start.
The early series, though, you guys were finding some pretty solid opportunities mid-game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, right.
Things just thin out towards the end.
Yeah.
All right, next on the plate, we've got the Olympics coming up. What?
The Olympics start on Friday. And Olympics are cool, right? And this is my mentality with the Olympics. So this is the 2020 Olympics.
Right, yeah.
Right, and it's 2021. So we're doing last year's Olympics now.
Same with Euro, we'll talk about that coming up.
Exactly. So still no fans.
Right. There's been some players, like I'm obviously a huge tennis fan. There's some tennis players that they don't want to play just because of the empty stadiums. Like they're
over it.
Yeah,
they're past that chapter. It's like, give us some fans. But
100%.
The flip side to that is there's been a COVID outbreak amidst the players. I don't know if it's tennis specific, but amidst the
I'm sure
athletes,
it's across different sports. Yeah.
Yeah, amidst
I
the
just
athletes.
follow that one.
Couple cool things that I like about the Olympics that I want to touch on really quickly from a betting standpoint. So first and foremost, you're dealing with events that happen once every 4 years at this scale and capacity.
Yeah.
Second, it's the first ever Olympics without fans. So from those two standpoints, one of the things we love at inplayLIVE is how do you handicap things that you don't really know much about? And if you go at the start of a match, oh, well, this team's going to win or this is going to happen, I, again, say, how do you know that? How do you handicap it? What instead we will do throughout the Olympics, and we don't even know what sports will do it for yet, but we're going to look at what's actually happening as it's happening and then capitalize on the trends that we don't even know are going to come yet.
I was going to say, I mean, are there any sports that kind of jump out at you that you'll be looking at a bit closer than others, or you just don't know yet?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, okay, this is speaking from a betting standpoint, 3-on-3 basketball tournament.
Pretty cool.
Team USA didn't qualify because the big guys aren't playing.
Right.
It was some post-college guys.
More dream team.
The basketball. You know, at inplayLIVE, basketball is one of our top sports. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I know the guys at inplayLIVE Pro are going to be really, really looking forward to that. Tennis, I am so pumped for skateboarding.
That's crazy. Is this the first Olympics? That's so super cool. Wow.
Super pumped for skateboarding. They have BMX racing, BMX freestyle, skateboarding, golf, tennis, golf and then the classics, right? Like beach volleyball is awesome. All the swimming events are awesome.
Swimming is just
handball is going to be a ton of fun. I know it's a high scoring event, but a lot of fun.
100-meter dash.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. And then you never know. inplayLIVE might even bet on some rhythmic gymnastics. You never know. You never know what's around the corner. But anyways, I think the point that I'm trying to make is once every 2 years, whether it's winter or summer Olympics, you know, we get these events that are a little bit obscure, a little bit different, and from us, it just provides us with a nice little buffer in the summer where we get a few extra things.
Oh, that's super cool.
Things to follow and wager on. So
cool. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the British Open quickly. That was just this past weekend.
Who cares?
Yeah. Pretty much, right? Pretty much. Your guy Brooksy, he came. What was he?
So we recommended 5 golfers to finish top 20. 3 of them finished in the top 20. I was just going through my sort of breakdown and process of how I select golfers before an event and the different things that I look at. And there's 6 golfers, and I put X's beside the ones I decided not to recommend, but they were on my list of players.
And one of them was?
Colin Morikawa. So he won, and we didn't recommend him, but we recommended Spieth top 20, top 10, top 5. We recommended Brooks top 20, top 10, top 5, and we recommended Victor Hovland for the same thing. So as long as the top 20s on those cashed, and then Spieth obviously finished second.
How about the story of the weekend, Louis Oosthuizen? Did he come second?
He finished third.
Needed that solo prize money.
I hated Louis Oosthuizen, and if you're a fan of him, I'm never trying to offend anyone. I hate him. I hated him before, but when he was 2 strokes back on Jon Rahm, and he needed to make eagle to force a playoff, and he laid up because he wanted to secure second, I have no time for the guy. And when he was at the top of the leaderboard, I said, I don't even know if I can watch the British Open this week because I can't stop looking at this guy succeed. Like, I can't watch this guy succeed. And it was nice to see him collapse on Sunday, and awesome that Morikawa did it again.
It's the second major, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Euro 2020. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's like the same thing with what we just touched on in the Olympics. You know,
well, it was the 2020 Euro, right?
Well, yeah, so with 2020 Euro, but this one we had fans for. It was a ton of fun. Every 2 years, whether it's the Copa America and the Euro or the World Cup, we have, in the summer, an extra sort of buffer of things that we can follow
Right,
and wager on. And I just basically told the inplayLIVE community, hey, you know what? This is what I did 4 years ago. This is what I did 8 years ago for the World Cup, for the Euro, and this is what was successful for me. I personally didn't wager much. I actually went 1 for 1 on the entire Euro, and I took Italy to win the final in penalties based on once they had tied it, how much things had kind of locked up. I didn't expect there to be a goal, and then the Italy to win in the penalties was the coin flip side of it. That because they were the underdog, they paid more, and I love betting underdogs. But it's just I told the group, hey, run with this strategy for the Euro, and the pro guys were just hitting it over and over and over again throughout the thing. But just to cap off there, biggest surprise would have been Germany. They sucked, and biggest surprise
Shocker.
on the positive side would be Italy. It's not a shocker that they won, but they got the job done.
For fanship though, and just for football fans in general, it couldn't have ended in a more exciting, like, PKs. That's pretty cool.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's nuts that you take a whole tournament and you're taking the equivalent of NBA players shooting a free throw to decide whether or not they win a tournament.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
All right, MLB, we're right in the thick of things. How's MLB going for the team?
MLB's fun. We just had the All-Star break, the All-Star break's a great time because we actually get to take a break.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like that February NHL break.
Yeah, we just had a few days where there was actually no sport, like professional sports on.
Yeah.
And if you're desperate for sports like we were during COVID, you find things to follow. Like maybe you find a handball match or a tennis match that's not professional somewhere else in the world that's available to wager on. But yeah, it was nice having the break. I'm super excited for the MLB playoffs, which now we're kind of in the final third of the season, so everyone's sort of pushing to the run. And the reason that I love that so much is that our data kind of hits the point. We have a whole bunch of advanced analytics and data for baseball, both pregame, but really that helps us zone in and focus on the live opportunities. But just really excited about that data. It just gets better as the season goes on. So it really hits its stride.
Yeah.
And once you bring motivations in, teams that we know are out versus teams that are fighting for it versus teams that are in, using that data to leverage
100%.
more opportunities. It's just, it's just fun.
Yeah, totally. The big thing I would just question that I have, looking from a sports value analyst perspective, there's like 100 games on a day. Not that many, but seriously, how do you zone in, or like with so much going on, how do you like look at a game and see like, okay, you know what, I'm going to focus my time on this game, because otherwise it just gets like it's a gong show.
Yeah, so
how many games are on at once?
They could be 12 to 14 games on at once.
I guess you're used to that with NCAA football. So.
There's way more NCAA football games on at once. I think one of the biggest things is that that's pretty much how it is every day.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to take breaks and find balance, because otherwise when things like that are every day, it's one of the things I love so much about American football is, Saturdays are full on, Sundays are full on, and the rest of the week is relatively calm.
Right.
So, there's a time of year coming up, and it's like, I say this all the time. I say this is my favorite time of year all the time. But it's my favorite time of year when NHL and NBA haven't started, and the only thing we focus on is football. And why I love that so much is because it's so profitable, it's so effective, but it also gives you so much balance.
Yes.
Where on Tuesday night, there's no games on.
But as soon as the NHL and NBA start,
yes, the MAC is on. But there's some things that we just don't focus on too much. So
fair enough. Let's take a quick change of pace. Let's talk about Bill C-281. That's some brand new news coming out.
Did you say that correctly?
Fresh out of the hot.
Shows what we knew. Bill C-2891?
C-281.
I might have said it wrong. That's okay.
What is it?
What we're referring to is the legalization of sports betting in Canada.
Yeah.
Which sounds crazy to say because everyone in Canada bets on sports.
Yeah.
So I guess what it is the legislature...
No more parlays.
Yeah, so I guess from a legal standpoint, at least in British Columbia, which is the westernmost province in Canada.
That's the actual.
When it comes to sports betting in Canada, though, from a technical standpoint, the legislature was written in 1960, so it does not have. Go ahead.
Bill C-218. We flipped the 8 and the 1. We're close.
Yeah, thank you for
cares?
correcting us. Yeah, who cares what the frickin' numbers are? That's like,
Yeah.
what number some player is. It doesn't impact things,
Shows you we're true to our roots.
How much the O-line guy makes on the Bills, it doesn't matter to us.
No.
Who cares?
Cool. So what's the final result of that? So what can you do now in Canada?
Well, let me just finish that point there. So the legislature was written in 1960. The
Right,
internet,
yeah,
the
it's
internet
ancient.
didn't exist.
Yeah.
So when you look at the history of betting in Canada, it's not that what we're doing is illegal, right? They are offshore books, and the legislature does not factor in online, right?
Yeah.
So everyone has been legally betting in Canada,
Yeah.
right? It's just been through offshore books. So the most common sports books that people use, books like Bet365 and
Yeah.
Unibet and everything that we kind of touch on a regular basis, Bodog, all these other sports books, they're offshore. So now what's happened is this bill has passed, and it's now hitting a provincial level, and Ontario has a ridiculously high concentration of sports bettors, and Ontario has said that they will have a single game sports book available to the public
Nice.
for the fall. And what that really means for Canadians as a whole is that the score,
All the big players are going to be thrown in.
DraftKings, FanDuel,
FanDuel.
a lot of these sports books that you use to bet online in the United States. So when it comes to sports betting in America, we're going to have those same books
Yeah.
when it comes to sports betting in Canada. So that's really exciting for us
That's
from a
great.
sports
Yeah.
value analyst standpoint. A
More
lot of
tools.
people reach out to us about this question, and they know that if you are successful, and that if you're a successful sports bettor, you're a bad customer, and when you're a bad customer, oftentimes they request that you no longer
More stores.
use their product. We have more
Yeah.
stores to go to shop at, so that's really great news for
That's
everyone. All the sports bettors in Canada. Great news.
Awesome. So let's now look at the tail end of the summer and what's coming up. So next on the plate is we got some football in Canada, the CFL, which will be starting
August 5th.
Okay, cool. it's
So
coming up.
again, when we're talking about the Olympics and the Euro, this is all things that would have been last year. We're still living in a COVID's still here, but we're still living in a post-COVID era in regards to when sports start and what's going on in the world of sports. CFL didn't have a season last
Right.
year.
So is this considered on time?
No.
Oh, it's still not.
That's what I was
Right,
getting
okay.
at, right? So, the CFL will typically start like in May. June. May,
Shows you
June.
what I know. I don't watch a lot of Canadian football,
Tough.
but maybe we'll switch it up this year. Yeah.
The CFL, you know what it is? It's fun, and it's like you're crossing a rickety old bridge trying to get to the NFL and the NCAA.
Yeah.
And it's the bridge that you hope you don't fall off or collapse through and go broke
Jeez.
to
Yeah.
get to the NFL and the NCAA football.
Right.
But in all seriousness, from our standpoint, we love it.
Selective.
We love the CFL, and the reason for that is because there are tremendous betting opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think the league, and I hate to offend people on this thing, but I think the league sucks. I really do. But it's fun to wager on, and we make money, and that changes everything. Where you go from this is a bad game, where you go, this game is bad,
Right.
to this is a lot of fun and we're making money, and this is another opportunity for us. And I think one of the coolest things about gambling,
Yeah.
it's the dangerous thing, but it's the cool thing.
Yeah.
You and I could sit here right now and we could start flipping a coin. And if it landed heads or tails, we wouldn't care at all. But if each of us took $100 and we put it down on the table,
Now it means something.
what heads and tails now becomes, why is a roulette wheel full in the Vegas casinos? It's heads and tails pretty much for a lot of people, so you have the
action
ability
on stuff. It changes everything.
you put money on something, and before you know it, your kid's hockey game is a lot more exciting than
100%.
than it was before, right? So with the CFL, I think that's sort of the mentality, especially given the fact that we do have effective strategies, and our CFL masterclass will be out in a couple weeks.
Completely. So
Yeah.
my number one question for you, as like NCAA and NFL or your bread and butter, this guy's basically the best in the world at what he does for those two sports and tons of sports, but those are your premier sports. When you look at the CFL, what is, like, from a football perspective, as a sports value analyst, what's the big thing that jumps out? Is it like there's rule changes? Is it still like you still apply the same fundamental? I mean, I'm
So
curious
let me
briefly touch on that.
use hockey as an example really quickly. the same algorithm for the NHL is applied to all the European hockey leagues, right? And that can be a negative thing and a positive thing, right? The same algorithm exists for football, and they go, okay, well, NFL is different from NCAA football. We need to make some changes. So we go, how can we profit off of those changes between those sports? Then you go to the CFL, and it's like, it is a different game. Like, there's 3 downs. There's a 1-point play, not a conversion. A rouge. There's a 1-point play. It's not a conversion, right? There's a 3-minute warning. There's clock stops when there aren't in the NFL and the NCAA.
The ball's
football.
like this much bigger.
The ball's bigger. The field's bigger. The end zone's bigger. The where you kick a field goal is at the front of the end zone, not the back of the end zone. 20-yard end zones, but there's an 18-yard end zone in Toronto.
Isn't the field 110 yards?
110 yards. There's 250.
250 hashes?
250s where, you're watching it, and then the fucking cowbells are going, and you're like, what the hell am I watching? But really, that's what we capitalize on, is where are these rule changes not adequately handicapped, and what are the scenarios that we can take.
Man, I'm pumped to see that masterclass. We're going to be filming that pretty quickly.
We'll be filming it in this spot right here. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Cool. So that transitions into the fall, September. NCAA football, NFL. NCAA, what, starts about a week or two before NFL, usually last week of August?
Saturday, August 28th, there's a few NCAA football games on, but it's not a full slate. But that week, there's games on like Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, and then the first big Saturday is the one.
Because the NFL opener is like on the, like, what is it, 10th or something? It's like 9th or 10th or something. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Yeah. So what do we have to look forward to in the sports value analyst world with these two beautiful sports?
Because you brought up NCAA, I'm just going to touch on the NIL.
Yes, the NIL. Yes, that's really
NCAA
brand new news.
NCAA athletes now have the ability to profit off of their marketing and other sort of options. So we're actually in the process right now of signing a few NCAA athletes with inplayLIVE, which is really exciting. So just from that standpoint alone, if you are an NCAA athlete or if you know one, feel free to reach out to us. We're definitely looking for opportunities on how we can create win-win situations, given the fact that NCAA athletes have the ability to make cash, and I think that our business in particular, being a sports education company, sits really nicely with athletes' future. And I think it's really cool that you have all these guys that are sort of micro celebrities, or they're local celebrities.
Yes.
Right? They're local celebrities, and they don't end up making the NFL, or they don't make the NHL, or anything that can consistently profit them long term, but they're very, very successful athletes. You were an NCAA athlete, right? So you were a big-time tennis player, NCAA, and you didn't have the ability to get paid, and you look at it and you go, maybe you saw 5,000-10,000 fans, at a tennis event, for a big tournament, golfers, all these guys that don't end up making it, that do have quite a big following, where you go, it's really cool that you have the opportunity to make some money, right?
Well, the school's making money off them, so it's only fair that they get their fair shot at it as well. I mean, I think it's game-changing.
It's game-changing.
Game-changing, and I think there's so many, like you touched on, there's so many kids that are going to get a chance to set their futures up, right? Yeah. Different endorsement deals, strike while the iron's hot, and like you said, they're not going to have most of them won't have huge pro careers. So
Exactly. So with NCAA football, I mean, I don't really know what else to say other than we're super excited, and I'm not going to say this myself.
What? You're excited?
I've been called the best NCAA sports wagerer on the planet by pretty much our whole community, but by a lot of people in the community. There's ups and downs, but NCAA alone,
the ups are way bigger than the downs.
For just a few weeks, pays for years of basic needs in regards to my life, but more importantly than the money, I just love it.
Totally. And I think, would you say a big part of that is just how many opportunities? I mean, we say this all the time. One of the core pieces to just the
volume,
the strategies in general is our volume, right? And I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why the summer, many would say, is a little. So there's just no volume. But then when Saturday on a crisp fall morning hits, there's literally a gazillion opportunities. So over time, you're making those decisions and you're making the right call every time. Some aren't going to hit, but then there's just so many of them that over time, it's a profitable strategy.
Yeah, when we track our NCAA wagers, I think works out to roughly like a 21% edge on volume. So, every time you place a $100 wager, in theory, you're profiting $20, $21. So
ridiculous.
Just a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty much everything for today. Any other? I don't think there's anything else in the. I'm sure there are some other sports that
we got NFL preseason coming up.
Yes. They're doing that this year.
Yep.
How many games?
Four weeks, I think.
Right? All the rookies can get injured.
Yeah, from that standpoint too, I'm just going to say the NFL's longer this year. Instead of 17 weeks, we have 18, which means there's no better time to join inplayLIVE than right now to get ready for the NCAA and NFL and capitalize on the last little bit here of MLB and CFL. So from that standpoint, that's one more week of profit, which for me is like that's a lot. That's impactful. That's huge. That's really, really awesome and very, very exciting. With that said, I want to caution all of our members, because I know a lot of members watch this show, but if you're a sports bettor at all, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm saying from the standpoint of what I do and what we do at inplayLIVE, the NFL preseason, pretend it doesn't exist. You don't want any bias associated with it, and you don't want to be betting it for the most part. So
totally. We also have some cool programs. Like we have our Epic Fantasy, we got the DFS, we have we're going to be launching a couple really cool fantasy programs for the team.
Yeah, so it's
a lot of fun.
Included with your membership.
It's just really cool.
Yeah,
ton of fun, brings everyone together on top of everything else. So I mean, are you pumped?
Are you pumped? Come on, are you pumped? All right, everyone. So we're gonna wrap it up right here. That's week 17 of the inplayLIVE podcast. Hopefully, we'll come at you with a few more of these on the more regular now.
Let's do it.
We'll get our guy Ritzker back in the swing of things. Anyways. For grinding out the podcast and hanging out with us today, we have a nice little promo code to join our quarterly subscription, and I will tell you, this is very, very important. The price of our membership is about to go up. If you're thinking, I want to join for the NFL season, you're more than welcome to, but by then the prices will have changed. Enter the promo code Ritzker Podcast. Link below in the bio with the ability to just copy paste that, and that's going to give you our quarterly subscription for $199, which works out to $66 per month. We'd love to have you in our community, and also we're more than happy to field any questions that you have about it, any comments, anything relating to the podcast, topics or questions that you want us to cover. We're all a part of it. So subscribe, click those links below, and we'll see you next time.
100. Cheers y'all.